Hello again, everyone. My name is May Whiting. I am the Data and Research Director at Alabama Possible. We're so happy to have you with us today. I'll be the moderator of this session. And then this breakout session, let me go to the correct screen. This breakout session is titled Bridging Education and Workforce, Equipping Students with Career-Ready Skills. This is focused on two of our conference themes, so creating a purpose-filled culture and climate, as well as policy, advocacy, and collective impact. Our presenter is John Branham from Get Schooled. His bio is published on our main landing page, so if you go back to the Zoom lobby, you should be able to access that if you would like further detail. We will have time at the end of this session for a Q&A, so feel free at any point to drop some questions or comments into the Zoom chat. I'll be checking those throughout. And then when you exit this session at the end, you should have a screen pop up in your browser that will ask you a few very brief survey questions. We would really appreciate if you answer those for each of the sessions that you attend today so that we can get your feedback and continue to improve this experience. But I would now love to turn it over to our presenter. Thank you, John.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you, May. Hey, everyone. It's really fabulous to be with you this morning and this afternoon. My name is John Branham, and I'm coming to you live from Portland, Oregon, actually. And so really delighted to have this conversation about bridging education in the workforce and equipping students with career-ready skills. And we'll talk both around a little bit about Get Schooled and then some very specific tools that I think you'll hopefully find helpful. If we could go to the next slide, that'd be great. So I won't dwell very much on myself. That's kind of awkward and weird. And as May mentioned, you can read more about me. This is just a little bit of a bio here. I'm the executive director of Get Schooled. I've been in this role for about 6 years. But I've been in education for almost 30 years now, which is a little bananas. And I started out as a middle school teacher and then served in the Peace Corps, have been a district-wide administrator, and have now been leading 3 national education nonprofits over almost the last 15 years. And I'm super active, well, reasonably active on LinkedIn. So would be excited to connect with any of you there. And there's a QR code to make it easy if folks want to connect. So this is Team Get Schooled. We are national, but most of us do live in the Pacific Northwest. The majority of our staff are first-gen college graduates and come from low-income families. And so I suspect that that's similar to many of the young people that you guys are supporting. Both our staff and our board have those backgrounds, as well as our National Youth Advisory Council. And that's really important to us because I think you'll see it in some of the tools and content that we'll take a look at today. But it really comes through in, I think, hopefully, in everything that we do. There's a sort of a resonance, I would say, because we're really, building tools and content for kids that have backgrounds that are similar to what we experienced. So for today's agenda, we're going to talk a little bit about Get Schooled, and then we're going to talk about tools that can support youth employment. We're going to look at a series that we did called The Way, talk about interview coach, resume builder, durable skills coaching, and then we'll talk about how to access these tools and then how to partner. I would say, May had shared earlier, and thank you, May, by the way, for your support today, that we'll have time for questions and answers at the end. But honestly, I would say, hopefully, I'm a pretty casual guy. And would love like any questions throughout, can you clarify this or, can you say more here? These kinds of experiences, virtual conferences can be sometimes a little bit challenging to get that connection. So I wondered though, if maybe we could come off mute, if anyone would be brave enough to just share, or many of you would be brave enough. What was your first job? And what did it teach you that you still use today?
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
My first job was actually in teaching as well, and I'm still 35 years, 36 years later in teaching, still in
Okay.
education. So it's not so crazy to me when you said the 30 years, but it's kind of like an addiction that you kind of love to have because you're always meeting new people, you're always influencing lives and different things like that. And the kids, good or bad, they still are a terrific investment, I think. So I'm still in education today. Glad to be here.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Christine Hall. Appreciate that.
I can share. So
Great.
my name is Christina Bracy, and my first job was an admissions counselor.
Hmm.
I was a college recruiter for 2 years, and I think that the main thing that job taught me is that one size does not fit all, and advocacy is very important. When it comes to meeting students where they are, and I definitely still use that today because now I work with a Gear Up grant out of Mississippi, and we primarily serve the exact same student population that I recruited. That first year, well, those first 2 years I was in the Delta, and now we still serve similar student populations. And so that one size fit all concept, that advocacy concept, is very, very important to meet those students where they are to get them to where they want to be. And so yeah.
My name is Chanel. My first job was actually a cashier at McDonald's,
Hmm.
and that job taught me how to listen with intent to understand the person,
Hmm.
and that still helps me out today.
Love that. And Chanel, what job are you doing today?
Right now, I work with AmeriCorps for
Oh,
UAB, so I'm a Vista leader currently.
wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you, Chanel.
I'll share. My name is Brittany Odom.
Hello.
Keep going,
My
Britt.
first job was at Foot Locker as a sales associate when I was in high school at 16. And similar to Chanel, that job did teach me how to listen to people and also how people's body language as well. So it was a great experience.
Oh, that's wonderful, Brittany. How's my body language right now? Am I doing all right?
You're doing fine, John.
Good. Good. Well, I just really appreciate the sharing. And I think it's just super interesting because I think as hopefully everyone was kind of reflecting back in y'all's minds about those first jobs, um, I think unequivocally the lessons, the learnings that we learn in those first jobs are impactful and they do carry through all the way, 36 years later, 30 years later. And so those first jobs matter. And young people, my daughter's off from school today. I've got two kids. The 13-year-old is upstairs sleeping. The 9-year-old's already at school. He had school today. She's contemplating her first job, and it's really interesting to look back and to think she might in 30 years be on a webinar and say the same thing, that the job that she has this summer is going to be an impactful one. In my case, my first job was at 12 delivering newspapers. I had two paper routes, so I had to get up at 5:30 in the morning on 100 newspapers. And what I learned in that lesson, in that experience, really the value of working hard. That was not easy to get up at that early hour, fold the newspapers, get on my bicycle, deliver them, and then go to middle school. Interestingly, as executive director of Get School today, I had a 6 a.m. Zoom call that I was presenting to four board members. So that lesson of waking up early and working hard continues. Thank you again for sharing, and feel free, don't feel obligated, but feel free to come on the video if you'd like, as we get to know each other. So let's talk about what our young people are facing, and I think we all know this. We're all in the work, but and without being political, I would say, everything that's going on in education today is going to make this journey a little bit rougher. Structural and financial inequities hinder young people from accessing and succeeding in higher education on first jobs. So nationally, I guess I should have looked up the number in Alabama, but nationally, the high school, college, and career counselor to student ratio is 1 to 385. And in many cases, this is why many of us are doing the work that we're doing. We're trying to provide more supports to young people who may not otherwise have access to their high school, college, and career counselors. Or if you are a high school, college, and career counselor, you are also doing amazing work. Interestingly, 89% of high-income students will enroll in college, but only 51% of low-income students. So I think the charge for all of us is, how do we give young people who want to pursue higher ed those same opportunities? And of course, part and parcel of that is the efforts around equipping students with the career-ready schools. From our perspective at Get Schooled, those are not mutually exclusive. They are interwoven. So we'll go to the next slide. At Get Schooled, we believe young people deserve access to the information and support they need to make informed choices about their future. And that's both on the college-going side as well as on the early career side. We provide supports and connect young people with the resources and support they need to succeed in education, work, and life. I should say, by the way, I guess I forgot to mention this, we are an all digital platform. So we are not meeting with young people in person, but as an all digital platform, we have hundreds of thousands of young people that we're supporting in states all across the country, including in the great state of Alabama. And we love our work there and our students there and our partnerships there. So we'll take a quick look at some of our specific efforts, but we'll go back for 1 second. We build incredible content around college and career readiness. We support young people digitally. We then amplify those efforts across the country. And we have collaborative partnerships, including with Alabama Possible. So accessible content. So Get Schooled looks at what the research shows are major drivers of success for young people, especially low-income people, in college preparedness, early job preparedness, and careers. And we develop content, the vast majority of which is, well, it's all mobile first. The majority of it is video, and it's really engaging, and it highlights young people who look like the young people that we're serving, who again are mostly low income and first gen. So these resources focus on all of the journeys, and we build that content in-house. Then we provide digital support. So we're providing that content that's inspiring and helping young people to become acquainted with the different subjects and opportunities. And then we provide those personalized digital supports. So last year, for example, we reviewed and commented on 800 resumes. We reviewed 4,000 college application essays. We provide access to more than 21,000 vetted scholarships. We coach young people around those first job interviews, and now we have some AI tools to help us in that process. We helped more than 20,000 young people navigate through the FAFSA process, and we have more than 40,000 young people that we are engaging with weekly via text in those journeys. Ooh, I love this question. Let's see. And thank you, Chanel, by the way, for your comment there about library, working at the library. Okay, let's see, Dr. Hall, as you're revising or adding content for this endeavor, is there a way to focus on requirements for graduation and credentialing in CTE areas? That's a great question. So the answer to that question is maybe. And so I think what I would recommend is to send me a little bit more information about that. We tend to produce content that has national applicability. So some of these requirements differ on a state-by-state basis. Where we have partnerships, we'll talk about that a little bit later, but where we have partnerships with, say, a state or a school district or a nonprofit organization or a higher ed institution, we can consider within that partnership producing state-specific information. Great. And are there any plans to add college and or scholarship interview practice? That is a great question. I would say it's a little bit of a maybe. So I'll highlight a tool coming up here in a few minutes called Interview Coach. So Interview Coach, the modules are for jobs, but as we well know, the skills of becoming more adept at interviewing are transferable between employment situations and pursuing higher ed. But we're also building a couple of additional AI-powered tools that I think are going to be complementary, and I'll talk about those here in a hot sec. And yes, and this is really interesting. This is great feedback. Like I would welcome either via LinkedIn or via email, just the follow-ups that say, hey John, like we need a tool around, college interviewing, because that could be persuasive for my team. But this is wonderful. I appreciate the engagement. Okay, we'll go to the next slide. Amplification and reach. So again, we're reaching millions and millions of young people across the country. So last year in 2024, we had 80 million views of our content, and more than 110,000 young people receive our emails weekly with information about scholarships, important deadlines, new content, new AI tools, all of those things. And the open rates for those average among students average 28%. So young people love them. Email is not dead. And then I mentioned this just briefly. Gosh, I'm embarrassed. I should have put Alabama Promise on here. But we have lots and lots of partnerships across the country. Some are local, some are state-based, some are national. We only partner with organizations that are sort of mission aligned and values aligned. I'm confident that would include all of the organizations with whom you guys are affiliated. And I would say we also have partnerships with school districts as well. So where we're delivering, like here in Portland, for example, we deliver content and supports to all 6,000 juniors and seniors in the entire school district. I think I've already mentioned these numbers, 80 million views. But as you can see over here on the right-hand side, these demographics, so low and moderate income students, disproportionately, but certainly not exclusively students of color. We, over 15 years, have never turned a single student away, so really open to students from all backgrounds. And all races and all genders, and the disproportionate number who come tend to be low-income students of color. And in our scholarship tool that we'll talk about, I think briefly, but last year students were able to secure $450,000 in scholarships, so really transformational. So many students work well in school, but I think the question that we ask ourselves on a daily basis is how can that experience be leveraged for longer term career success? And so, as I mentioned earlier, for us, so when we were founded 15 years ago, we spent about the first 9 years focused exclusively on, pursuing higher ed. When I came in as ED, we really expanded that because what the data was telling us and what we were hearing from students was that it really was both and. They needed to be both supported in their journey to higher ed, but also in those first jobs, and their success in those first jobs were integral to their success in pursuing higher ed and also in opening the aperture around different career possibilities. So when I think about our our first jobs and early career work, it's both around career exposure as well as first jobs preparation. We'll talk about some of those specifics here. And so the framing that we use is really around easy to implement career tools. So the first one is a series of videos that we started creating, say, about 4 years ago, called The Way. And The Way, the spirit behind The Way is a collection of videos that feature early-ish career professionals who tell their story about the journey that they made from high school into that career, sort of connecting the dots, like what might they have been interested in high school? How did they get their first job? What career are they pursuing? Because for a lot of our young people, like those of us that shared, it's not like when I was doing the paper route, I knew what my career path was, but I knew I was already starting to learn like the things that I liked in life. And so really helping young people to start to have that career exposure is, we've heard from students, is transformational. So we'll go to the next slide. This is just a picture of a couple of the videos that we've done, and that QR code takes you to the series. You can see that they're down at the bottom. Experience in healthcare, another individual who's sort of a language expert, the power of mentoring. So we get rave reviews from young people around this series. And so hopefully that would be helpful for you as young people are thinking about pursuing their different paths. Interview coach. I mentioned this earlier. This was our first AI-powered tool that we unveiled last year. And the purpose of it is to give young people an opportunity at scale to practice interviewing for their first jobs. So you can see on the image, when you go into the module, you're greeted by 3 different coaches. You get to choose your coach, and then you get to choose one of 3 different job interviews. The job interviews feel very real, and they record students' voices in the interview, and they're doing it typically on their phone. And at the end of that interview, students receive a downloadable report on what they did well and how they could improve. And the insights are, number one, jaw-dropping. Number two, they're really supportive and nurturing. We surveyed the first 250 students that did it. We've now had a couple thousand. 87% reported a dramatic increase in their confidence and competence in interviews, which is just remarkable. And they can come back as many times as they want. Hey, thanks, Tanika. I appreciate that shout out. I've even had some of my board members who are like really accomplished people, SVPs at major companies across the country, do it. And even they said they learned something. So interview coach is transformational. I highly encourage you to have your students do it. And it's free. Okay, so this is super exciting. And this QR code will take you directly to it. We just unveiled a released resume builder on Monday, so it's hot off the press, and it's an absolute game changer. There's nothing like it in the country. So now we've gone from 3 coaches to these 7 coaches that you see here. I have a theory that if more young people can see coaches or advisors who look like them, they might be more encouraged and feel more supported in the process. So we're kind of covering the genders and the racial tones, etc. So first you choose your coach, then you choose your language. So in interview coach, you can do interview coach in Spanish or in English, but in resume builder, we have it in 6 different languages: Arabic, Spanish, Russian, Chinese, Vietnamese, English. Then you choose one of 2 resume formats. And then if you have the job description of the job that you're applying for, or even the job title like barista, something like that, you can paste it in. And again, everything is mobile first. So you're doing it on your phone, probably your students are. Once you input that information, then you begin your conversation with your coach. It's a very nurturing, warm, supportive conversation. And if your students put that job description in, or the job title, it will lead the AI to adapt and extract the core competencies that the employer is looking for in that job. If you don't put anything in, it will default into questions that are more around what are known as durable skills. Those durable skills are the things that are enduring skills that all employers are looking for. In fact, to curate those durable skills, we partnered with another national organization who scanned through 88 million job descriptions to extract the 8 most important durable skills that employers are looking for across the country. And so you can have a great deal of confidence that the questions that are being asked in Resume Builder are really on point. At the end of that 15-minute or so conversation, students will receive a downloadable, editable, personalized resume. And if they had that conversation in Spanish or Arabic, it will produce the resume in English. Transformational. Doesn't exist today. So that is available. We just released it, and we're already, we had one school just sent 175 students to do their resumes. So, okay, so building durable skills. So durable skills, I mentioned those just a second ago. These are the skills that, in addition to scanning across 88 million job postings, our partner also surveyed 3,500 employers, and in that process validated these durable skills that you're seeing here on this slide. Again, these are the skills that all employers are looking for in every job, regardless of the job title. And so these are the skills that it's most important for us to make sure that our young people have, to the best of their ability, mastered, or at least become familiar with and have practiced. So right now, Get Schooled is developing a series of 9 videos around durable skills. We have more than half of them done. We'll have we'll have the balance of them done like in the next 6 or 8 weeks. And so the point here is that once we release those, these will be like 5-minute videos that young people can watch to learn about each of the durable skills. So why are durable skills important? What is this specific durable skill? What are examples of it? Why should I care? How do I practice? Right? That's kind of the format. We've got we've got the eight of them, and then an overarching video, like just a basic intro to durable skills. So we're releasing those, and then our goal, we're still working to raise the money to do this, but then our goal is to then create a durable skills AI coach who will then work with young people to practice the articulation of those durable skills. What you're hopefully starting to see is a suite emerging where young people would be able to come in, watch videos about durable skills, practice their durable skills, go over, create their resume, and then practice interviewing for the job, all autonomously with really nurturing and supportive AI help that we've coached. And then they can bring those tools to you or those products for your additional assistance, or come to Get Schooled for additional assistance. So we think pretty transformational, and all in a way that is affirming the humanity of the students that you're serving. Let's do a little, just open it up back up for a little conversation. So tools and practice. So you've heard me talk through some of these tools and content that we have available. Would love any reflections around how you think you might be able to use these in your practices with your students. Are there any insights, any aha moments for folks brave enough to share?
Well, I will speak up. I'm Shannon Lester. I work for Gear Up Achieve through Auburn University. I'm not sure. I know you're familiar with the Gear Up programs.
Of
I
course.
saw your information at the INSEP conference last year.
Oh,
I guess in listening to this and seeing all of the available platforms, can see how this would really work in well with some of our career preparedness programs that we have in the K-12 education program here in Alabama. One of the things that they have to fulfill in the 9th grade in career preparedness is to do a resume and have all of those things. And so the way that would link up, it just kind of has my brain turning a little bit.
yeah, that's wonderful. Thanks so much, Shannon. And yeah, right. The creating those first resumes can be really tough, right? When students, it's like maybe they don't actually have a lot of experience, right? If they're in 9th grade, they gotta start working on it, but they probably haven't done very much. And so the AI coach will prompt them around, babysitting, clubs they're involved in school, sports, and any leadership positions, church, volunteer. So just kind of get their minds going. And then we'll take those experiences and how they talk about them, and the AI coach might do some follow-up questions to really distill. And then in that finished product, they'll have titles and bullet points, etc. Ooh, that's great, Rebecca. Thank you. Yeah, wonderful. Exactly, right? It can take you so long to get through all of those, right? And so that's part of this value, is to try to, we just know that so many of you are carrying such a tremendous load. Again, that 385 to 1. None of us can do this work alone. And so you can think of Get Schooled as your partner in that work. Well, really appreciate that feedback. So we'll just share a little bit about what's next for us, and we can skip to the next slide. We have a couple things that are hot on our hot list, if you will. The first is a college and career platform. So there are a lot of college and early career preparation platforms out there. Some of you might have those in your respective organizations, or more likely in the school districts that you're working with or partnering with. But here's the thing. This was my aha about a year or so ago. 99.9% of those platforms sever their supports for our students the week or two after those students graduate from high school. And if we think about it, I think there's a compelling argument that says that that's the point at which those students need even more help, right? How are they going to navigate community college in 4 year and getting those, maybe not their first job, but the second job, and getting apartments and car loans and credit scores, all of those things, the early adulting that we all stumble through. I oftentimes share openly that I didn't know what a credit score was until I was in my second year of law school. I mean, that's crazy. It shouldn't be that tough. And so Get Schooled is right now building a platform into which we would have all of our best in class content organized into a series of courses to check the boxes of college and early career preparedness, plus that one-touch button for texting support, plus all of the AI coaching tools, and all of the reviews all nested in one place that's easy to navigate and intuitive, and where you as advisors could also be present. So we're building that right now. We're hoping to complete it by the end of this year or early next year. The expansive AI supports. So we have an additional roadmap. I shared with you our aspiration around the durable skills coach. And then the other one is really around trying to sort of college and career advising to try to build an AI coach that you guys can use with your students to more holistically help them build a plan that you could then evaluate and interrogate and partner with the student on about their college and early career kind of roadmap. And then the last, this is a little bit more of a, I won't call it a pet project, but something that I'm interested in all of this, obviously, but I grew up as a low-income kid. My dad mostly pumped gas and was a janitor. When I was growing up, we struggled financially. He died a long time ago, but it wasn't too long before I was making more in a month than he ever made in a year. That journey around wealth building can be a painful journey, and it doesn't have to be. So I'm super interested in us creating a best-in-class series of content around wealth building. I'll stop there. I have one more slide. Do we have any mental health supports? Yeah, it's good question. No. That's super important. And so we do have content around mental health. We don't think of ourselves as mental health experts, but we have tapped, I would say, experts in the field to curate content around that. We also, through our text line, we give young people an opportunity to kind of talk about and share any of their struggles or needs, and in the main we're able to support that. We certainly have each year a couple of situations that are more serious, and in a couple of those cases we've been able to get the student immediate in-person assistance. I'll avoid specifics, but essentially, like we had a couple of months ago, we had a young person in Chicago who, expressed some very serious emotional, situational, mental health issues on our text line, and we were able to reach out to his advisor, and they met with the student within the hour. And we feel pretty great about that because the text line was able to sort of capture that. So we do have content, and we do have some supports, and then we outsource to where it's a little more serious. So we do provide personalized supports for around college and career preparedness, as you've seen. So we do provide the text line. We help students to navigate the financial aid, the job interview practice, culturally resonant resources, and long-term guidance. So that has been and always will be free to individual students. And we also have more than 8,000 educators and counselors across the country that receive our weekly emails with all of the updates, fresh content, digital content roadmaps that you can use, all of those things. So all of those things are free. And as I mentioned earlier, organizations, school districts, states, et cetera, can all partner with us. And in those particular cases, we do scaled approaches to support students in those organizations or institutions. If you don't already receive our educator newsletter, you can click on that QR code and sign up. And that way, you'll receive any updates on any fresh content. And again, the tools as we release those. And of course, you can always reach out to me or to any of our staff if there's, if you want to have a more intentional conversation around partnering, you want to better understand a tool or to think about how your students can access a tool at scale. And let's see, is there any information about certifications for students who do not plan on going to college? Yeah, so we do have content around pathways beyond college, right? And so certification programs, training programs, you know, everything outside of college, we have content that is really, I would say, supportive and encouraging of those as viable, compelling pathways for young people. And so happy to share those. And let me just put my email address in here. You can email me and I can connect you to some of our staff who can assist there. And then when you mention partnerships, are there more resources available to schools? Do they involve fees free to schools? There are not more resources. So everything right now is available to partners and non-partners, students, educators, et cetera. There are no, from a values-based perspective, we do not gate any of our content or resources for anyone. And so there's not additional content if you're a partner or additional tools. The difference is kind of the scaled approach. So again, I'll use that Portland Public Schools as an example. The 6,300 students could all come to Get Schooled and sign up for accounts. The chances that all of them would do that are probably pretty low. In addition, all 6,300 could submit their college application essays for review. They could go to Resume Builder, et cetera, et cetera. The difference in the paying, and yes, it's a paid partnership, although I would say it's the costs are very modest. Less than the cost of one, for them, those 6,300, it's less than the cost of one counselor in that school district. Quite a bit less actually. But the difference is that the school district gives us all of those names and email addresses and cell numbers, and we batch upload all of those. And so all of the students receive weekly texts and weekly emails with all the information. And we have them on a separate text line. So the PPS students are getting it. And because of that partnership and some additional funding that we have, we actually, for them, curate specific scholarships that only Portland Public School students are available. So we're able to do those things when we have additional funding. Those are the kinds of things. And we actually meet with them every month to review progress and engagement. For other organizations, like yesterday, I just had a conversation with the head counselor of the School for the Deaf in Arkansas. It's a statewide school. They've been using Get Schooled for years. They love our resources. The students love our resources. And there are only 35 students. So she was reaching out for a formal partnership. And at 35 students, we'll just, it's not to say each one of those students matter, but 35 students for us is a very small number. So there's no cost for that partnership, right? This is mission-driven work. So we evaluate where there are going to be costs and where they're not, depending on the total number of students that we're talking about. So hopefully that helps. And you may have answered this, but how do you get kids to check email? I love that question, right? Yeah, 28% of our emails are opened by students. Remarkable when you think about the volume of kids that we're emailing. I would just say, I think there are a couple of key ingredients for getting kids to open emails. Number one, you have to be a trusted partner, right? Like kids trust Get Schooled. Not to say they don't trust you, but they got to trust you. Number two, what you're sending them has to be relevant and interesting. It's got to be something they need and something they want. And then thirdly, the presentation. We are really intentional about how we design our emails, the language we use, the colors, the graphics. the architecture, and also we deliver it on a consistent basis. And so when you employ those 3 or 4 criteria, that's when you'll start to see the engagement rates with email climb. I started, can any student individual sign up? Yes. No, there is no cost for individual students or adults. Nope, free. I have to fundraise. I have to raise a couple $1 million every year. That's the toughest part of my job. But yeah, it's free for all students and adults.
John, I just wanted to jump in and share,
Please.
especially related to the question about how to get students engaged in this. And the reason that we so frequently link to web pages on your website is because the language is so student friendly. And so, a big thing for us being that we work a lot in financial aid related topics and are encouraging students to complete their FAFSA is the complexity of the application and the jargon around it is so intimidating and overwhelming. And if I can just do a big promo for Get Schooled, what they do so well is the translation work and making it so accessible to students. So if you haven't yet checked out their web pages, they're incredible. And the videos too, if you're not going to have a student read through a bunch of content, the videos really are even more accessible.
Thank you, May. That really does mean a lot to me because our team works really, really hard, to play that translation role. It's not easy. Sometimes our staff is like, there'll be Slack messages back and forth, like, what do we think FAFSA means about this? Or, what's the administration mean about this? And so we're trying to decipher it and deliver it for kids so that the information that can be transformational to their lives is not a barrier to entry, right? So thank you, May. That means a lot. Let's see. Do you have anything that helps counselors write recommendation? Oh, you know what? It's so interesting that you asked that question. I'll tell you a secret that almost nobody knows. I don't even think all of our staff know. No, our staff knows this. We have applied to Google for funding to create several additional AI tools, and this is one of them that would help counselors draft that first cover letter. And a couple of additional tools that we think would be particularly helpful for counselors. The whole sort of AI thing is super interesting. There are a lot of tools out there. What I would tell you is it's a lot like text or like email. Anyone can be a dad, anyone can send a text, anyone can write an email, and anyone can develop an AI tool. But doing all of those things well is actually difficult. And so our partner in our AI builds, they have a PhD in this work. They're also a Black and Brown founded organization. One is first gen to college and one is an immigrant. And we sit around together and we really push the tools to feel resonant for our students. And as we said earlier, our students are your students. Because here's an interesting stat about AI. By the way, what time are we supposed to, are we wrapping up?
We still have about 5 to 10 minutes.
Okay. The interesting thing about AI, so every year Get Schooled surveys our students. The survey is 35 questions long. Now, not every student completes every survey question, but the majority complete the majority of it. Last year, we had 1,100 students complete that 35 question survey. Pretty remarkable. And in there, we ask questions about AI. And one of the things that's really interesting is that, and again, our demographics are your demographics, same age group, same backgrounds. About a third of students are really excited about AI. About a third are 50-50, and a third are hard no. And so I think that's really interesting data, and we use that kind of data to inform how we think about and build an AI. And so we work really hard to humanize the experience. Number two, we rely on that, our role as a trusted organization, right? Trust is really important when you're sharing really personal information. And then importantly, we build everything in ChatGPT 4, which is probably, if you guys are, any of you are monkeying around in AI and ChatGPT, the place we build is in a locked vault. That's important for protecting students' privacy so that the information that they're sharing, for example, in Resume Builder, is not going back out and informing ChatGPT that many of us are using in our personal lives. So we build in that locked vault. And so we doing AI well and building these coaches well takes time, and it does take money. And so we have a longer roadmap than the one I shared with you, that we've asked Google to help support. And if they come through, then we will have tools, develop more tools for counselors, tools that you can trust. Okay, durable skills videos. This will be multilingual. The videos, so you can go onto our, so we have our website, and about 1.7 million young people come to our website new young people come to our website every year. And 65% of that traffic is what we call organic traffic. Google is rewarding Get Schooled for having high quality content. We also have our YouTube channel, and that's where you can find the majority of our videos. So you can type in, YouTube Get Schooled. And so we do not record our videos in multiple languages, but Google has Google Translate on YouTube. And so you can listen to our videos in any language you'd like. Because at the end of the day, we're still a teeny organization trying to do all this work nationally. So we have to rely on digital tools to assist us in that process. So the videos themselves are not multi-language, but Google can help you in that process. And when will the durable skills videos be ready? Let's see, it's April 10th. So I'm going to say somewhere between May 20th and May 30th. That'll be great. And if you sign up for our educator newsletter, you will be the first to know when they're ready. All right. Any final questions? You guys have been wonderful. And May, I really appreciate the opportunity to join the conference. Test prep, partnerships with anyone trustworthy in the work. Let's take a pass on that one. We don't do test prep. Awesome. Thank you guys. And May, are we good?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being a part of this conference and
Thank
sharing
you.
your extremely valuable resources. If y'all are K-12 educators on this session right now, in our weekly newsletter, we're also promoting a bunch of Get Schooled things. So I hope you're clicking, and I hope you're sharing these tools with your students, because they are the best in the game. So thank you, John, so much for your
Thank
wonderful
you. Thanks,
presentation.
May. Okay, see y'all.